What's going on, traders? It's Ricky with TechBot Solutions. So I'm super excited. Let's go ahead and start sharing my screen so you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm looking at right now. I have a position right now on AMD. It took a huge dip, just like we called yesterday in our Sunday stock talk. I didn't buy at the lowest price, just like I never do. I waited for the bounce. I waited for the critical point of $12.50 like we've been talking about. It went above $12.50. I put my limit order, got filled. We're at 270 right now, and it's about to hit its resistance during pre-market hours at 1280, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I am day trading AMD. So AMD is not a penny stock, it's not necessarily a low cap stock, but I thought I'd be able to capture this whole experience of why I'm buying at the certain price, why I'm selling at the certain price, and that whole thing. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for joining us. If you guys haven't done so already, the link is provided for you guys down below so you guys can join TechBot Solutions. It's a little bit over 27,500 members now worldwide. And the thing that we do best is we provide a supportive community for both new and experienced traders. I know you guys don't want to hear me talk too much, so let me go ahead and just start doing this. It looks like we did somewhat or saw somewhat of a pullback. Just to talk to you guys a little bit more about AMD and why I bought in. Yesterday in our Sunday stock talk, we've been talking that or actually last week, we talked about that it had a resistance at about $14.50. People were asking me, are you going to buy in at $14? I said, well, no, based on the previous trends on when it did see huge spikes like it did, that same time, they see pretty decent pullbacks, as in these two times. It went up, went back down, went up, went back down, and then it went up. What's to happen next? Well, based on the previous trends, it's most likely going to go down. I called out the support at $12.50, and that is almost exactly what happened. So today, once the market opened, what I did was during pre-market hours and during the aftermarket hours of Friday, I tried to analyze where most likely, since it saw a huge spike, AMD always does this during pre-market hours. I don't want to say always, but it does this very often. And it sees a huge spike, and then once it gets closer to market open, it sees somewhat of a downward trend. And then doing that, based on the previous 5 days, every time the market does open, it sees a downward trend. It sees a pullback, and then it sees a pullback. It sees a pullback. Again, guys, just common trends when it comes to trading AMD. So I know a lot of people within the TechBot Solutions group were talking about different stocks that they were trading. There are some people that are up already, $120. Some a couple thousand, depending on their account size. But overall, I want to congratulate each and every one of you guys that are trading and that's doing well, right? But most likely, you guys need to understand, the importance of only trading what you guys see potential in and setting up a plan. So the reason that I bought when it took a dip was I knew that was a common trend when it came to trading AMD. I saw that it's been taking consistent, dips, and then it pops right back up. And that's what I was waiting for. I knew $12.50 was a very common support. So I knew it was going to most likely be a strong resistance. But once it popped right through it, that's where I wanted to get in, here at $12.50. But once it saw the dip, it saw a dip to $12.45. You might ask, why did it dip down to $12.45? Well, during aftermarket hours for Friday, it ended up having a support at $12.50. What I mean that it didn't really go below $12.50. So that was a really strong support, but it also was not going above $12.50, which was a resistance. So once it saw this pullback, all I wanted it to do was to go above $12.50. And if it did that, I knew that I can try to get in at $12.50. Based on during the pre-market hours, I thought it had the potential to hit highs of $12.80, but it looks like it's seen a pullback, and that pretty much happened at almost $12.75. So it is seeing somewhat of a pullback. I actually think we can get back to about $12.70, and if anything, I'll lock in my profits there. But overall, I think I did a very good job analyzing the previous trends, identifying a good buy point to buy in. I didn't jump into the hype. I felt like I got in at a pretty decent price at $12.50 because I waited for the bounce to start showing signs of upward momentum. And then once it started trending up, I bought in at $12.50, and I was planning to sell around $12.75 to $12.80, and that's what I called out within the TechBot Solutions group. But it doesn't look like it might actually hit that. It looks like it now has a support at $12.60. So that's what I would like to see. If anything, if it starts to trend back up, I'll add a little bit more size as it starts rising. But let's go ahead and see. Let's go ahead and see what you guys have to say. AMD is almost up 2% on the day. And yeah, you guys have to understand that when it says like it's almost up 2% on the day, or if it's up, 80 or 0.80, that's based on the previous close. So that doesn't necessarily, oh, it just broke support. That's based on the previous close. So it closed previously at like, what was that? At like around 12:45, and then that's where the support was. But I didn't buy in until 12:50. So I mean, what this is up, it doesn't necessarily affect me, or if it's down, it doesn't necessarily affect me because I'm day trading it. So I'm buying in and selling out. So this is just for people that held or bought where it closed that last week. So, but SPX, dude, this thing's straight killing it right now. So I'm not much of a momentum trader. We do have a couple traders that were trading this. This thing just saw a huge pullback. This actually might be something that I might want to get in right now. The reason I say that is because it's seen a huge pullback. So if we can wait for the bounce, it's had a previous support at around $3.20. If you guys could see this, that it's had a previous support, it bounces and then trends back up. So if it does this based on pre-market hours, this is a support. So look, the first green candlestick, no, but SPX is honestly, I think it has a lot to do with like, overhype and somewhat manipulation. So that's why I don't necessarily like trading these like more momentum stocks, just because you see these huge, I mean, this is a 1 minute candlestick and this, yeah, just broke support. So it's not very, in 1 minute, it dropped about 6.8%. And that's why, these penny stocks or these low cap stocks are, if you're not experienced, and what I would suggest is if you're not experienced, you don't really know how to day trade, although these do, offer high reward, it's very high risk. And especially when starting out, I would personally suggest one, trading something, to trade something that you might be a little bit more comfortable with, something that, you can take time to analyze, plan out your trade, where you're buying, where you're selling, where you would catch your losses, and that when it does take a dip, like let's say AMD does take a dip, I would have my stop loss at 1240. So I'm in at 1250, and although I'm losing 10 cents, it's less than 1% that I'm losing. So if I were to lose, that same, amount on SPX, if I lose 10 cents from, $3 to $3.08, that's already almost 4% loss. It's about 3.33% loss. So overall, it's just a lot more difficult to manage a trade. So if you are day trading for the first time and not seeing much success when it comes to trading these low cap stocks, I would personally suggest to try to focus on something that you could plan out your trades a little bit more. And then focus on that and see if that works for you a little bit more. Also, maybe you guys might want to take some time and do some simulation trading or paper trading, which offers no real monetary risk. Okay, so I actually think I'm going to get in on SPX because I've missed out on this one for a couple. Yeah, let's see. So as a support, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to try to plan out my trade right now. It becomes a little bit more difficult because these stocks move so quickly. But what I see is that it had a previous resistance here at 335. And now it has a support here, and now it's trending upward. If you guys can see that, it's now starting to staircase up, and that's what you want to see. But you know that it has a support at 317, so if I do get filled, that's where I would set my stop loss. The scariest thing is that it does take quite a big of a dip. So if I do stop loss, but if the momentum or the volume is too high, I might not actually get filled at the price that I want. Yeah, I know, it's trending back down. It's not really moving. And if it breaks this, this is just, let's see. I'm going to put my alert. But this thing for, if you guys want to get in, my mistake, I get create alert and then it has to be above 325. Dude, F is just killing it. Got my alert that it went above like 1140, and my goodness, why? So this is Ford. US car sales fall in June. Yet it trends up. That's funny. And then the thing with this one, I'm not too sure. Yeah, it's showing that it's more on the oversold side, overbought side. So we're most likely going to see a pullback. And based on this news, this isn't necessarily like it's down 5%. Customers. Yeah, I'm not too sure why it's actually trending up. So, but it looks like it's bouncing because based on the previous, like it's been on a downward trend and now it's trending back up. So, but that's just so weird that it's actually trending up. SPX is now picking up a little bit more. It broke the little resistance that I had at like 320. And it's just about to break above 325. And guys, what we just saw right now from top to bottom, that was about, or this is just 2%. But from top to bottom on the 330 resistance, that's about 4% with a percentage loss of, if you get in at 320 to 317, about 1%. So JNUG, I'm not too sure if you guys are familiar with this one, but this is going to be one that I'm going to keep an eye out. Based on the previous close, they went from $8.40 all the way down to market open of about 1760, and that's down about 5%, almost 5%. And then right now at 40, it's down about 5.45%. The reason I'm talking about this is when there's huge stocks. This is a gold-based ETF. So since this one's down, JDST is up. So if it continues its upward trend, then JDST will continue to rise. And then, yeah, SPX just went up. So that's good for that. But if JDST continues to rise, then JNUG will continue to drop. And then the margin for profit, like long-term for JNUG, will continue to rise. And then when JNUG starts to rise, then that's when I usually make the decision to jump into JNUG and then to ride it back up. But right now it's just down a little bit too much. It's just showing signs of consistent downward trend. I'm going to set my alert once it breaks above 1760. The reason why is it looks like it's been having like little false like upward like trend, and then it just comes back down, and it looks like it has a support here at around 1740 because it's bounced there once and it's trying to bounce there again. But if it continues to show downward trend, then most likely I'm just going to step away and let it do its thing. But now RAD, okay, so RAD is now, if you guys could see this, oh my goodness, it just broke it. So 280 was a previous resistance, so which now that becomes a support. So it was holding above 280. It just dropped below that, so it's most likely going to trend down to like 275. But yeah, you don't want to invest in something that's showing signs of downward momentum. I'd much rather, I think it's a safer, at least in my experience. I mean, I want to see if you guys, like if this makes sense to you guys, but I'd much rather wait for this to start to like plateau and then to start, trending back up, right? So when you're investing, instead of investing in something that's showing a downward trend, to invest in something that, is actually trending up. You might have to wait for, you're not going to get at the lowest point, but once you see that it breaks, like, there's a resistance here, as you guys can tell here at 282. And once it breaks above that, then you know that it's starting to trend up and it's starting to make moves, back to, the previous resistance at like 290. So I'm going to wait for that. Since it's dropping so much, I'm going to wait until it goes back above 280. And I think that would be a good indicator that it's trending back up, since right now it's just trending down. AMD is back at 1256. So I'm still up, not much though. It looks like it's trying to bounce around 1255, and it's struggling to hold. It went above 265. So if it looks like these bounces are getting like a little bit lower, and its resistance and where it peaks out at are getting lower. So it's now starting to show signs of downward trend. If it doesn't break above 1260 on this one and it starts to struggle, I'm just going to lock in my profits. I definitely know that's not a lot. But profit's profit. I'd much rather lock in profits than take a loss. And that's just something that I've learned based on experience. So SPX saw a break above 325, but then didn't hold very long. So that's that. Let me see what you guys have to say. So Ricky, have you seen Kara? Yeah, I actually had one of my buddies, Kyle. He direct messaged me about Kara, and it saw a huge drop from the previous market close. Did it not? Let's see. Yeah, so it saw a huge drop, and then now it's trending back up. And this is like what I like to see, when it starts to really just build like this cup, and then it starts trending back upward. Because if it can make it back to where it was, that's 60% profit. So for those that held overnight, I mean, this wasn't even necessarily a penny stock, since it was trading at like, $25, $26, but it saw a drop all the way from there to market open, and to $18. And that's a 50, what is that? a 27% loss, 29% loss. So that's huge. And you can see the RSI indicator was showing that it was like way on the oversold side, but it started to still to continue trending downwards. But now it's actually starting to trend back up. So that's a good indicator. Right now it looks like it has a support at $16. It's at 16.38. So I might actually, I really like this one. So good call. I do want to give you credit for reminding me on this one. So where are you? Armin, appreciate that. I really do. Ricky, how do you know that Kara may go up all the way? That's a good question. It's not that you know that it's going to go up all the way. It's just based on trends and based on just my experience. When stocks trend upward or trend downward so quickly, this is what I've noticed. We would call this, in a sense, $20 the critical point. It usually happens quicker with lower cap stocks, but when it sees a huge drop, so it saw a huge drop from its support that it had about like 1240, it dropped all the way down to about 20, and then it started trending downward again. Now there's going to be different critical points that might lead it to just like, see a huge volume spike. And I think one of those first like volume spikes were $16. When it broke above $16, you saw it have a pretty solid pop. And then once it breaks above $18, you're going to see it have a pretty solid pop. And then once it breaks above $20, there's this gap that it experienced. There's no real support here. So once it starts, gapping up from 20 to 26, there's it never had a real like support. So when it's trending back up, it's not going to have any real resistance. You're going to have to go a little bit further back to actually identify that. And then that's what sometimes leads to huge spikes. Does it mean that 100% Kara is going to trend back up to, $26 or $25.40? No. Like when it comes to investing, you're never 100% sure. But what makes sense based on my experience and based on like previous trends is that once the stock does end up gapping down, some call them kind of just like a cup trend like a teaspoon trend, because if I'm not mistaken, we can go a little bit further back. And what looks like Kara was, regardless, it was showing signs of upward momentum, or just way overpriced long run, right? So this RSI indicator, and then it saw a huge drop almost to the previous support. So I guess this drop wasn't even that far fetched. Ooh, red is trending back up. All right, I really need to make another position or another trade instead of AMD. So AMD broke above 1260. So let me answer this very quickly. I mean, it bounced at $14.90, which is a previous support, and now it's trending back up. Based on what I see right now, there's a resistance at about 1750, and then another resistance here based on this at about $20. But then there's no real resistance once you break above $20. I mean, there's one here at about 22, but then there's this margin of no real resistance. So that's what can lead to just a huge gap. But that's really just it. Doesn't mean that it's going to do it 100%. It just means that it based on previous trends, it's likely. So what I would most likely say, think to be possible is, well, right now it's hitting a resistance that it had on Friday. So it bounced at the support pretty much that it had during pre-market hours, and even during Friday. If you guys can see, I had a price here, and it bounced pretty much at the same support. It had experienced somewhat of a resistance here at about $16, but then broke right through that. And then there's a previous resistance here at $16.50. And if you guys could see, it's seen somewhat of a pullback. Guys, I'm not doing anything special. All I'm doing is previous trends, try to identify where the resistance would be, where the support, and I try to buy low and sell high based on within that margin. So it is seen as somewhat of a pullback. I'm most likely going to think that it's going to try to bounce because it had somewhat of a resistance here at 1240. It's going to have a resistance here, and then it's most likely going to try to gap back up and hopefully break above 1250. But I need to see. Sorry for cutting that short. AMD's not doing it, and it didn't even hit 1265 again. So it just broke below 1260. But it's actually still trending up though. Like it's not. So it's trending down from its resistance that it had, but I really like this. I really like this, that it's staircasing up and it's pretty solid. Let's see. So it's almost doing like it's doing like a green, red, green, red, green, red, green, red, green, red, but then this one's red. So if this does not end up doing well, and then I can get back in at 1260, then I'll lock in profits there. And then Rad said it was trending back up, so that's good. It ended up bouncing at 12,675, which makes sense. And the reason that makes sense is because 1275 was a previous support. So now it's trending back up. That's good. It has a margin of profit of about 3.64% if it goes back up to the previous support, which will most likely be the new resistance. So calculate risk. See if it breaks above 1280 or 280 if that's a potential trade that you want to do. Lock in profits around 290 and cut losses if it breaks below 280. So small margin for loss, good margin for risk. And again, this is Rite Aid, so it's not a penny stock. All right, we're trending back up, so that's good. I'm gonna put my limit order at. I'm gonna remove my stop loss and put my limit order at 1262 and just call it a day on AMD. I need to go on the Fidelity app. It looks like JNUG again is back down to its overall support. Yeah, it's just trending down. That's definitely not showing a good sign. Yeah, it's starting to flatline. All right, whatever. I'm just gonna lock in profits at 1261. Oh my goodness. Okay, so right as I send out my limit order, it jumps up to 1262. So I got filled at 1261, so that's good. Let me know if that's ever happened to you guys. I feel like I am, and I think it's hilarious because my roommates think it's funny, and I want to make sure that I lead by example. And I always I'm like, keep your emotions out of trading. Always have a plan before you jump in, and that's something that I definitely do go by. Stick to your plan, and that's one of the hardest things for people to do, is especially at a very early age, because you can get a lot of emotions that come into play when it comes to trading. You have to understand it's investing, and it's like real, it's real investing, and this is like real money where people really do make it. And you have to understand that if you don't treat it seriously, then you're not going to be as successful as you potentially can. So the more serious you take it, and the more fun you can still have fun with it. But just understand on how serious that you have to be when it comes to actually sticking to your plan. So like AMD, it was hitting highs of like 1275 almost, and I was up, and I'm just like, okay, well, let me just lock in profits at 1270, and then it starts to continue to trend downwards. It starts to continue to trend downwards, and I'm just like, whatever, I'll just lock in profits just like I did at 1261, and I was going to sell at 1262, but it didn't look like it was going to get there, so I put my limit order at 1261, and then right when I do it, 1262, it just pops right back up. The worst one that I've ever done is I'm pretty sure that it was actually with AMD, but it was when it was at like $10 or something, and then I locked in. I think I might have even had to cut losses. I just sold that where I bought at, and then right when I sold, it jumped like 8% or something like abnormal. And it's so frustrating when that happens, because you're like, well, I was day trading it the whole day, and the moment that I sell it, literally like less than a minute, it pops up, and and that happens a lot. And I know there's been a lot of people, and I want to hear what you guys have to say when it comes to that. But you guys have to understand that when it comes to day trading, you don't always know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. So AMD, it saw somewhat of a pullback. It's back at 1262. So it looks like it's continued to trend upwards. And that's really just it. You have to understand that you have to be a little bit more systematic, and the more emotions you put into play, then you really just it's not even worth your time. Sometimes I try to see how much I could have made if I would have just held and stuff like that. I think just the more that you avoid that, the better that you'll do. And you guys are like, hi, Carl's going up. Yeah, so I'm leaving AMD. Let's go ahead. And Rad is actually trending back up, so I like that. So good call on. Oh shoot, guys, I'm not sharing my screen. All right. Broke the resistance at 1250, so that's good. Now it has this margin. So hear me out, guys. And again, you should never trade based on anyone else's opinion, and you should never, trade what you don't understand. Based on what I'm looking at here for Kara, it had a resistance here at 12. 1250. So it was struggling to go above 1250. It broke that resistance. Now it's trending upwards, and then there's this margin. Since when it saw a downward trend, it was from about $18 down to 1250, and now when it's trending upward, there's this margin from 1650 to $18. And this all happened in a day. So is it possible for this to happen in a day? Realistically, yes, because it did all this in a day. So most likely this is possible as well. Is it 100% going to happen? Well, no. That's why it's so important to manage your risk. So there's a potential for profit of about 8%. Let's say you get in at 16, where it's at right now, that it's trending up. You have to identify a good buy point, a good sell point. Now we have to identify where we would cut our losses. You should always have an idea of where you guys want to put your max loss. And if that doesn't make sense to you, like, you always want to make sure that you can manage your risk. So what I mean by that is, let's see, it has a support at 1650, but it has gone below it. It is still trending upward, but it is seeing somewhat of pullbacks right now. So you have to understand that you might have to stop loss out if it doesn't go according to plan. But where would be a good stop loss? So if you go in here, I want to make sure that I keep it at about 1%. Right now we're at 12, that's 1655. I mean, you can keep it as simple as, right now it's at 1660. So if it breaks above 1660, try to get it filled at 1660. Stop loss if it goes below the support of 1650. And then, so that's managing your risks to about 0.5%. And again, this is a little bit of a higher price stock, so you might have a little bit more margin. I'm actually going to just jump into it right now. And again, if you guys don't understand it on why it's trending up or don't see the potential, please don't trade it. That's one of the biggest things that I can suggest is don't trade it. I'm going to try to put my limit order at 1665. I'm okay with that. Seeing a pullback. Let's see. Saw pullback, broke the support at 1660. So 1655 was the previous support. So can it hold above that? I'm going to try to get filled right now. All right. So 1656 is my entry. It's back at 1655. We really don't want to break below that. I'm still going to put it at 1656 because I want to get filled. All right. All right. Nope, not getting filled. All right, I'm gonna have to cancel that. I tried to buy 180 shares at 1656, but did not get filled. All right, 180 shares at 1660. Again, guys, and I want to make sure that you guys understand, in no way because I'm trading it do I want you guys to trade it. If it doesn't make sense to you, you shouldn't be trading it, and please understand that. That's one of the biggest suggestions that I can give out for you guys. If you guys don't see potential, if you guys can't manage your risk, and if it just doesn't make sense to you, there's nothing wrong with watching. If you have paper trading, maybe you can do it with that since it's no real monetary risk. But don't do it if you don't understand it. So that's one of the biggest things. So why don't I do market order? The reason I don't do market order is because I want to buy at the exact price that I want to buy at. So if I do limit order, I can buy it at the exact price point, and it's usually with penny stocks. I guess I just get more into the comfort of buying in at a limit order, because with penny stocks, if I buy in with a market order, since it fluctuates so quickly, I might actually buy where people are selling rather than where people are buying. And when it comes to like market order on these like higher price stocks, it doesn't matter too much since they're higher priced, and a matter of 1 cent doesn't really do that much of a difference. But yeah, that's why I use limit order. I usually suggest to use limit order, but other than that, that's pretty much it. So guys, it looks like we did well with AMD. AMD is back below, so we stuck to my plan. I sold it at 1261, and my position wasn't huge either. Let's see. I'm trying to think if I should get back in, because my order has not filled. Or RAD at 1280, at 280. That would have been nice. Okay. I'm getting in a little too late. So it's seeing somewhat of a resistance at 1680. Couple sellers there. Yeah, it's seeing a pullback. But it's still trending upward, and that's what I really like about this one right now. Solid volume as well. Oh, excuse me. Man, that sneeze felt good. AMD is trending back up. So once it's all the first pullback, and then it popped right above that resistance. So if this is a second pullback, can we pop above this resistance and hopefully get to 1280? My profit sucked on AMD because it was only like $30. But I'm not being greedy. Again, it's profit's profit. It's just not much profit. So I need something that has a little bit more volume. So that's why I'm looking. I think Kara might be it. Yeah, Carl's just killing right now. So I'm going to have to cancel my limit order. Give me 1 second. Thank goodness. Okay, well, there's a previous resistance right here. Broke right through it. Doesn't even care. Oh, it's okay. I'm putting 7. Pull back. All right, I'm going to listen to you, and I'm going to buy at market order, at market price. Let's see. I'm not going to, I don't want to say that I'm listening to the person that suggested for me to buy at market order, but I haven't gotten filled with a limit order. So I really just want to get filled because I really think it does have potential. I want to see if it breaks above $17. And if it does, then, because that's a pretty solid resistance. Yeah, it's breaking. So, oh, broke resistance. And if you guys see, it's just gapping up. All right, that's good enough for me. I can identify the support at $17. All right, filled 1706. Let's see. I'm gonna put my stop loss because the volume is really spiking up right now. Yeah, I just broke 100,000 candlesticks. So stop loss at 1699. Oh, it's getting so close. All right. And just like that. All right, I'm out. I should definitely give it more margin. This thing's moving way too much. Yeah, all right, I'm gonna get back in. Try to get in at a lower price. All right. All right. 176 shares, 1703. All right, stop loss is gonna be at 1680. So I'm risking about 1%. Again, nothing huge. So I'm risking about my profit for the day for AMD, which is really bad profits for the amount that I'm risking. I'm risking 3,000 or 3,500 per position. So I'm going in a little bit light right now with Kara. I wanted to start trending up, and if it starts trending up, then I'll add more to my size. And yeah, so man, I've been live for a while. I do apologize that I've been keeping you guys here for so long. I'll let you guys get back to your trades. So I know probably not a lot of you are actually trading. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Scared the crap out of me. There's a fly. I thought it was a bee. I had a really bad experience with the bee. I'm not too sure if you guys saw one of my videos, but it was like attacking me. What the heck? Ooh, Kara broke 1720. Sweet. All right, adding up. I'm gonna add more to my size, but all right, it's gonna pull back. Let me go ahead and end the video here. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I hope you guys found it somewhat entertaining and somewhat useful with what it was that I was talking about. Again, one of the biggest suggestions when it comes to trading penny stocks, if you guys are just starting out or experience, I think something that we can say, like with all honesty, is that you should never trade based on anyone else's opinion. You should only trade on what you can identify potential in and what makes sense to you. In doing that, you should always have a plan when it comes to trading on where to buy, where to sell, where to cut losses. If you guys have been seeing any of my trades within the past couple of days, other than I'm trying to focus on like SPX and stuff like that, I usually try to focus on stocks that are a little bit higher priced, just because it's easier to manage your risk when it comes to those specific positions. And that's really just it. There's a lot of traders that do very well with lower cap stocks. I've seen that I've been doing a lot better with these stocks. If you guys could see, it's not all the time that I do 100%. Like 100% or that I lock in huge profits. I'm not up much on the day. And then I took a small loss when I came to my position, my original position on on Kara. So overall, I want to thank you guys again so much for watching. If there's any questions or suggestions that you guys have for me, please feel free to let me know. Feel free to reach out to me within the TechBot Solutions group chat. That's always the best way to do it. And I did want to do an update video. That's most likely going to be like later today or tomorrow, and it's going to be on the TechBot Solutions landing page. So for those that are going to be one of the beta testers, I do want to take this time and opportunities to kind of just expose you guys to that opportunity. Again, we're working on the free platform for you guys, so you guys could utilize everything it is that you guys have in TechBot Solutions right now with the Facebook and the group chats, but it's all going to be under just one website, making it that much more efficient and that much more effective for you guys. So we're going to be asking for a couple people just to sign up with their emails. on the Technical Solutions landing page and see for you guys to give us some suggestions and some feedbacks. So if you guys are wanting to do that or open to that idea, again, wait for this video to actually publish, comment down below, and then I'll guide you guys in the right direction. Again, I never give out my email, so if there's any comments saying email me or anything like that, that's a 100% red flag, because I never tell you to email me. I would always reach out to you. So because there's been a couple people that have said that there's like this fake email and this spam that we've talked about before. So make sure you guys understand that if you guys see that and someone else is responding to it, go ahead and let them know that it's not actually me. But I'm gonna dedicate a couple minutes to be on the group chat, just because I have a couple things going on. I'm going to look at a listing today for another house. So I might be filming that whole thing, so if you guys are somewhat interested, it looks like you guys really like the real estate videos that I film about the different properties that I own. So I would like to take you guys along. That would be a really cool experience, not only for me, but I think for yourselves as well. But that's really just it. I'm gonna dedicate a couple minutes to answer some questions within the group chats. So make sure you guys bring the conversation on over, and then let's go ahead and continue just sharing our best practices, sharing our mistakes, and trying to lead by example with all the new and experienced traders. Thank you guys again so much. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Thank you guys.